Yeah, so basically, I just wanted to make this video to kind of um, talk about this game we're planning on making, to show off some of the progress that's been done already, as well as maybe collect some feedback on the progress and some of the systems. Feedback is pretty important since this is our first game we've ever made. So chances are I'm going to make a mess of the project as it gets bigger and bigger. So I'd like to kind of cut down on issues like that before it gets too out of control. But I guess first thing, let's just do a quick demonstration of what we have so far. Here we have our isometric grid. We have a little dot here that shows you what tile you're hovering over, and we can actually it's not very pretty, but we can spawn in a couple characters. And then once this is done, our quote unquote battle will start. Um, right now, this action, yeah, I mean you can see the menu is kind of busted, but or it's like behind the map, or the buttons are at least. Um, we have some actions here: fight ability, item, back. None of these do anything yet, so we can just go back. The move does work. So you can see, I just hard coded the move radius to 3 here, so you can just pick a square and move to it. Now you've moved, and perfect, you can't move anymore. So normally you would just do like an action and your turn would end, but I don't have any actions programmed in, so we're just gonna wait. It looks like nothing happened, but it should be the next character's turn now. So we can move, I don't know, let's move in a different direction like that. Wait, move, you can go somewhere. And you can see now, oh, wait, and now we're going to be back to the first person. So this is basically what's been done so far. So I think next we should take a look at the grid. So the grid, and let's just start with that. So I've got some of the code here, and if we just go to generate grid 2, I used to have a generate grid 1, and then I rewrote it, and then never changed the name. So we actually have this. Maybe we should start with the map. So we have this variable called map here, default map. Where this comes from is this class. So this is actually a definition of the map. So it's just a huge array of tiles. You can see, we have all our ground tiles and we have our water tiles. So this is actually being generated. So this is created in mapgenerator.py. I wanted to make like an easy way to generate maps and to, um, um, like come up with a new map design and easily create it and test it out. Right now we basically just have this ASCII kind of representation. We have our tile. These are tile prefabs that exist in the Unity project, and we can split them in. So I just wanted a square here with a little lake here where all the W's are. It's a little bit warped, I think, or I guess it's not warped, but it's a little bit difficult to relate this to what the map actually looks like. I've included a little note here. This is a W-1 and H-1. So if we go back and look at the project, this is 0, 0. You can see in the right-hand corner here. And this is 915, which would be like W-1, H-1. W being the width and H being the length of the map and the number of tiles. So you can see this matches up with here, and we have our water right here, right? So it's not too. It took a little bit of time to get like this G here to line up with this tile, but I did get it to look somewhat okay after. So we actually have just some Python code that'll generate the class. Just use some some text stuff. These are hard coded in. The map is the name of the map, and this is the number of units that you're allowed to spawn on the map. So, you know, I can do like a little demo. I can maybe make these into X's. And then if I reveal this in the file explorer, say Python, whoops, and then go map generator.py, we run it, and then if we come back here, it's probably going to freak out now. Boom. Now I took a couple squares out of it. And so now there's just no squares there. They're nothing. So yeah, that's the, whoops. That's the map generator. Back to like the grid manager. So we actually read that array from the map class here, and we just you know, run through it and instantiate you know, a tile prefab, whichever one it says in that class. And then we do a little bit of math here just because it's isometric, so the size is a little bit, you know, messed up. If you look at if you go to the scene and we look at, say, I just click on one, this position of this one here is 2 and 1, and then its neighbor is 2.5 and 1.25, so we got to do a little bit of math to get that sorted. It depends on like the size of the sprite. The sprites aren't 1 by 1. I guess while we're on the topic of sprites, this all came from like just some Unity sample project. That includes the little character, the witch. So basically we have this, we got our map to go to the middle. Nothing too crazy, you know, get tile from world position, basically a bunch of helper functions. I want to make it simple to grab, like, you know, if you have the tile like HW position, or to look it up in the array, or if you have the actual XY position, I want you to be able to easily get that tile object from either of those. So there's just some helpers here for that. So get tile from grid position, get tiled from world position. I've even overloaded them just to make it a bit easier, whether you have, you know, the XY or like a little data structure there. Currently selected tiles always being updated. Yeah, so that's like the map, and that's the grid and stuff. Another like big job so far has been the character movement. So this is my unit class. Like eventually, I think these are going to be what's the word for it? There's going to be children classes made for different types of units. But right now, this basically only handles the movement. Now, the movement is I find a little bit complicated. We have our move class here, so our move function here. So this gets called when it's the you know, time for the unit to move, let's say. Before we'll talk about more of the game flow and stuff after. But yeah, this gets called after it's time for it to move. So if it's the first time, right, then this is when we do the find and highlight pass, and that's when it finds all potential paths for the unit to take and highlights all the destinations in blue, like you've seen. So it looks like this: find and highlight paths. So we're getting our current tile, and we're going to determine all the valid paths from that tile. And then we're going to, for each of those valid destinations, we're going to highlight them. So this is like the juicy part. How do we actually determine the paths? I've used the class called path nodes. It's basically a linked list. We have, you know, the tile, we have the previous node, and we have the distance. The distance here being the number of steps left. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that. So keep in mind that every node here, it knows the node that came before it, as well as how much further it can go. So if this distance is greater than 0, then we're gonna keep going. So we're gonna get all the potential neighbors, and then we're gonna make sure all these neighbors are valid. And then we're actually gonna just do some recursion here and create a new path node, lower the distance, and then keep looking. So this will like give you every like potential path. It's not like super efficient because these all get put into an array, and then you're gonna have an array of like all the paths, but you could have multiple paths to one destination. So something I can do in the future is go through that and remove any unnecessary ones. So this was probably one of the more challenging parts of the project for me so far, but I'm pretty happy with how it's working. And then once you know these are highlighted, if we go back here, we're going to update our temp destination. I think this part of it there might be a better way to do, but if you recall how each path was its, it wasn't just a destination that's saved, it's like a path to the destination. So we gonna actually it's saved here in path, which is a stack. So we basically just go through that stack and move to each of them, and that's how like the witch moves, like from square to square to square. It doesn't just take a straight line to the final destination. And here we just move towards the destination. This is some code. This is actually from a tutorial I found on YouTube. This works pretty well with just for capturing or just for moving your unit towards a destination. So that's the character movement. So one more thing that I'm kind of working on now is like the game flow and the like the turn flow. So I'm trying to use like state machines for all this kind of stuff. So I just got the update function here, and these are each of my states for the game. They're enumerated here. So we've got the map set up. We spawn the villains, we spawn the heroes, we start the battle. Then we keep taking turns and go through our, each character until we either win or lose. So let's take a bit of a closer look at that and see how it actually works. So here's the start of our state machine. We start with map setup here, just to get, into the first state. Right now, map state setup doesn't do anything. Perfect. So we're going to spawn villains, and this doesn't do anything either. I just iterate through here and do nothing. Spawn heroes is where it actually starts to do some stuff. So I use this. I feel like I'm using this convention kind of a lot. I think it probably comes up a few more times. Is done, false, do something, and this thing will update if it's done or not, and we know to go to the next state. Seems fine, but maybe there's a more efficient way to do it. So we have spawn player units here. So the way this works, we come in, and if we know where we're spawning our unit, i.e. have we clicked square yet? If not, we're just going to go out. And if we do, we're going to like instantiate that unit at the tile to spawn at. This is this tile to spawn at thing, just defined here. And if we look for it, we have this function, select player spawn title, that updates it. Let's see where this gets used. And it's just in handle mouse click. And that tells you where to spawn the player. And then it'll do that, until your player unit spawned is equal to like the number of units as defined in the map. Yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought a little bit. Where are we? Game manager. Yeah. That's the spawn heroes. Then start battle. We actually have a list of all the units. When they get spawned, they get added to that list. And then we have an update active unit here. Because in take turns, this one state in this state machine actually calls a whole nother state machine in and of itself. I believe it's this function here, menu manager, take turn. This file is called menu manager. That needs to be renamed. It should be turn manager. The scope of this, I think, got a little bit blown up while I was, developing. We take our turn. We make sure we have an active unit. And then depending on, again, this is menu state. It should be turn state. Start turn. Then we go to our turn menu. This is like when our turn menu happens, when you see move, action, wait come up on the screen. Yeah, and then this is where .move gets called from. There's not a whole lot to say about this, I guess, because none of this really does anything. But one thing worth mentioning, I think, is the way the menus work. I can show you the menus. I just have them. If I stop this, it's here in the canvas. I have menus. I have turn menu, and it's off by default. And then it's like literally just the Unity default buttons, and the way they're handled is, I think it's here in the menus map. So I have this dictionary called menus map. So I have the menu state and I have the list of game objects. And these are like the menus themselves. And then here we're actually defining this data structure. So on the turn menu, we have a new list game object, and then the turns. I have a list here. I suspect there's going to be more stuff on the go later, so I used a list even though it's only one. Turns menu. Boom, and then that makes the buttons come up, or the turn menu come up. And the turn menu contains the move, action, wait buttons. So that's how the menus are handled. So this is again a work in progress, and it's kind of where I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. I'm starting to get all these like managers. Like I got this menu manager, and I've got the game manager, and they're kind of like swapping a lot of like data and stuff. So I'm afraid it's getting a little bit not concise. Like it's not clear to me that right now you need to update this active unit before take turn, right? Like maybe take turn should know, but then the active units are here in this one. So I think it could be a little bit cleaner. I guess the one last thing, this is kind of just a startup idea, but I thought it was a neat way to maybe organize my inputs. We could have this mouse click. This is input manager. I have this mouse click function, and this gets called here using the new input system for Unity. Get set up here with the mouse click, and that way I can kind of, in each of my managers, I can have their own way of handling the mouse click, and then this is usually going to be dependent on the states. So if it's in spawn heroes, and then that's means do that. Or if we're in the menu manager and we're in menu state move, then we're going to go set destination. Yeah, I think that's all that I kind of wanted to cover today. I kind of want to just kind of get it out there. Just document it to see later, and like if anyone thinks or has any ideas on how I could better approach this. Is there any especially if there's any Unity specific mechanics, because I've done some C# programming before, but I haven't done any Unity before. So, the prefabs and, how to access data from one place to another, that stuff is a little bit new to me. And I'm not like, I have done some C# before, but I'm not like a C# wizard or anything. Like, my knowledge on a lot of stuff is pretty weak, especially I think like events and stuff like that. I'm not super familiar with. But yeah, so if you have any thoughts, feel free to let me know, and it is greatly appreciated. All right, thanks for watching. Bye bye.